Good morning, everybody, and thank you very much to the organizers for having me today. I'm going to present actually on the current trends in the global medical aesthetics industry, an industry which I've been monitoring for a number of years. Here are some glossaries of terms which are used in my presentations, which will be afterwards available for every participant. So the global medical aesthetic industry has grown very quickly in the last years, and it has reached 15.2 billion in 2022. It's been, of course, negatively impacted by COVID-19, as we all know. From 2021, however, it skyrocketed again, actually back. And the quantitative easing certainly actually contributed to that, as well as the fiscal stimulus packages in the different geographies. And despite the ongoing pandemic, we've seen actually a comeback to the medical aesthetics platforms and clinics. The US continues to be carrying the torch out there with regards to also innovation, whereas Asia Pacific has certainly suffered also with the zero COVID policy in 2022. You can see here on this chart the percentages aligned for 2021 and 2022. The US has gained actually in terms of overall market share in 2022. Now, what are the favorable growth dynamics? I mean, basically they are on the one hand side demand driven. Of course, we'll see afterwards the factors. It's aging, demographics, personalization, urbanization, democratization. It used to be a vanity play. This is now actually something which is being engaged very regularly. Rejuvenation also for the Gen Z and the Generation Y, and the desire for instant gratification and for beautification, which has become prevalent. We've had a number also of disruptive technological innovations, which have shifted the paradigm at the cutting edge of groundbreaking technological breakthroughs and have certainly advanced the state of the industry. You can see here, if I summarize actually the lifestyle changes, on the first side, you have demographics. On the other side, the post-pandemic effect with a Zoom boom, which has come to the realization that a number of patients would need to have some operations. The faster technological innovation with regards to disruptive game changers, which have come, especially, I would say, with novel toxins, for instance, novel types of biostimulators, regenerative medicine. We'll talk about the exosome later on in the session. Personalization and customization, somebody talked about this morning. I think it's key. And of course, hand in hand with this comes the digitalization. We talked about social media. Dr. Diane explained actually how this has become so important on the one hand side, and then you have also, of course, teleconsultation, telemedicine, telesurgery. All of this will make the global industry reach actually 20.2 billion in 2026 overall, with dermal fillers, toxins, and energy-based devices, as well as dermocosmetics. You see here there is a certain differentiation by geographies, with the US and China, of course, leading, but a few emerging markets which are growing up as well, Brazil, for instance, and the Persian Gulf. The trend favors nowadays the emergence of minimally invasive medical aesthetics platforms, which would be combining everything from dermal fillers, toxins, lifting threads, PRP, regenerative medicine, energy-based devices, new forms of biostimulators, etc., in a one-stop shop to the customer in order to make it as seamless as possible. And of course, you have education and training platforms which are associated with that, with the train-the-trainers trend. The approach also enables patients more and more to develop an anti-aging and body reshaping ecosystem. It's a, I would say, powerhouse, Amazon-proof, indispensable ecosystem which fosters the engagement of the patients into some kind of an immersive and addictive ecosystem and experiential journey, whereby you can retarget them always with other types of adjacent treatments and procedures and products and indications, and then resend notifications to them, try to improve and intensify the rapport with the customer and improve the engagement. You can see here the development actually in the dermal fillers and injectables reached 8.9 billion in 2023. Will reach probably something like 11.3 billion in 2026. As you can see here, this is another differentiation between dermal fillers on the one hand side and toxins on the other side, with a rising competition in the toxin space. Here you can see that the market is dominated actually by the three, Allergan, Galderma, and Merz, but others are coming on with new types of dermal fillers which will be differentiated, be it because they are not BBDE-free cross-linked, or because they have a faster onset of action, or better characteristic in terms of rheology, in terms of viscoelasticity, plasticity, elasticity, homogeneity, cohesiveness, silkiness, and ease of injection. So we can see here the galaxy of the toxins. I mean, here again, the three dominant players being Allergan, Galderma, and Merz, and of course, actually some new kids on the block, like for instance, Eusivia and Jovot from Evolus, or Letibo from Ugel, and a few other players in Korea where the toxin wars are currently raging, as you know. Now, if I look actually at the overall landscape, you can see a number of different types of dermal fillers. What I see here is a shift of the paradigm towards other types of biorejuvenative stimulators of fibroblasts, whether these would be synthetic recombinant collagen-based, for instance, or PLLA, PDLA, PMMA, PDRN, chitosan, PCL. We've seen the success, actually, of the PCL semi-permanent fillers in China with the launch of Elancé, but also in Europe. And we can see the exosome is coming on stream with new generations of humanized or recombinant exosomes, as well as plant-based exosomes even. Dermal fillers, I would say in the US, a very clean and structured market with a few dominant, I would say, supremacy superpowers, with Allergan, Galderma, of course, actually Merz, with Belotero, as well as Teoxan, which is approved and commercialized by Revance, Prolanium, which is owned by a French private equity fund called Archimed, is commercializing Revenes, and Suneva Medical, the PMMA product, Belafil, as well as we have Radies, of course, actually in calcium hydroxylapatite from Merz, and a new calcium hydroxylapatite from Allergan, Luminera. Europe is a completely different story. We have a profusion of different competitors in Europe, which are basically actually making the game much more complicated. We have Laboratoire Vivacy, which is just traded to Bridgepoint. We have Philmed, we have MD Skin Solution, Merz, and of course, Bioscience with regards to the body reshaping fillers, Menarini, which is a pharmaceutical company, having engaged with Revance as well, and on and on and on with Galderma, of course, Chroma, which is one of the key minimally invasive medical aesthetics holistics by champions right now. Sinclair, originally UK, but now owned by a Chinese company. Matex Lab, originally Polish, but now owned by a Swiss company. And of course, Swisscell, which is a cell booster, skin booster company. We have also a few players in Eastern Europe as well as Southern Europe in mesotherapy, which is a very big topic with skin boosters in Europe. And now, if we look at the Asian Pacific market, Korea has been a hub and a hotspot, not only for the toxins as well, actually for the dermal fillers here with Ugel, Meditox, Humedix, and of course LG Chem. Across with Revelox is a subsidiary of Ugel, and Dong Cook as well, and Genos. Now, we've talked this morning actually about the new paradigms and the new disruptive game changers, which are basically at the cutting edge of groundbreaking technological breakthroughs. We talk about actually BBDE-free technologies here. I mean, we have the PEG polymerization. This is one of those. We have ISDIN has developed also this GDE polyglycerol-based technology. We talked about Halura, obviously, and the new disruptive technologies. There is also from Chroma this disruptive Thiomer technology based on disulfide bonds. I think the other big trend is digitalization, and how does it play a role? I think that one of the industry which has been the most disrupted by the digital transformation is certainly the medical aesthetics industry, because of the cloud, because of the follow-up of the patients, because of the creation of this immersive and addictive ecosystem where you're going to be able to retarget the patients and intensify their experiential journey, as well as because of the pre-visualization, right? We'll talk about this afterwards. the digitalization has impacted a number of items, as you can see here. And of course, actually, for the augmented doctor, what is really very important is the possibility to have pre-visualization techniques, which enable them actually to simulate operations and then entice customers to engage. What has been actually the track record in terms of consolidation dynamics? It's been growing a lot, as you can see here in 2021. This was an ultra blue sky scenario, skyrocketing exponentially. And of course, actually recovering from the COVID, reaching actually 24 billion in terms of consolidation, thanks to an unprecedented fiscal stimulus in China, US, and EU quantitative easing measures, the buildup of these holistic medical aesthetic platforms, and the buildup of these ecosystems I was mentioning. But 2022 came, of course, with the Russian-Ukrainian war, with the rise in interest rates, with the acceleration of inflation, with a credit crunch and double dip and meltdown and disintegration of the capital markets and the full lockdown in China, which has all contributed, I would say, to paralyze the markets. What we see now is that there is a slight recovery, which is coming onwards, with the growth rates accelerating for dermal fillers, as well as for certain types of dermocosmetics, which has become the place to be as an adjacent peri-operative treatment. You've seen actually the most recent acquisitions by L'Oréal of Skin Better Science, as well as by L'Oréal again, actually, of Aesop last week. In terms of the overall consolidation in the last, I would say, 10 years, what we see here is that it represents a monetization of value of 218 billion, which is 14 times the value of the medical aesthetics industry, with a CAGR of 14%, normalized 20% if I had extrapolated to all the disclosed transactions. And we see that there has been actually a big change in the paradigm, obviously in 2022, after this unstoppable, skyrocketing development because of the stagnation. And this is an industry which is correlated, obviously, to the GDP because of the shrinking, on average, of the value of the transactions, the decrease in the total number of the transactions, and also, I would say, a more conservative approach by financial buyers, which are reversing the ratio now of the investor statistics, as you can see in the comparison between 2021 and 2022. But we can think that there is actually some light at the end of the tunnel for 2023. First of all, with the reopening of China. Second of all, we've seen in December 2022 two very important M&A transactions. First off, Bridgepoint acquired Vivacy in a 900 million transaction, which is pricing Vivacy at around about 9 times sales or 20 times EBITDA. And of course, actually, the minimally invasive medical aesthetics champion Chroma reverse merged themselves into a Euronext listed SPAC called EHS for an implied enterprise value of 850 million. And we've seen at the beginning of 2023 that this consolidation continued with the reverse merger of a French company called Allurion Technologies for body reshaping and slimming into Compute Health Acquisition Corp, which is listed on the NYSE for an implied valuation of 550 million, or round about a 7.5 times multiple again, so very high level of multiple. Reduction, of course, in the value of the dermocosmetics, even though there was also here an acceleration at the end of the year with L'Oréal's acquisition of Skin Better Science and Beiersdorf's acquisition of the microbiota company S-Biomedic. The resurgence of the US market, which was, I would say, always kind of a shift, if you will, of the center of gravity between the US and China, Europe being some stuck in the middle. And here in the US, you had a number of transactions operating last year, of which Unilever Nutrafol, I think, was a very important one. Obviously, Waldencast Obagi, L'Oréal Skin Better Science, and Crown Laboratories Eclipse MedCorp. Also, some Chinese companies managing their way through the US market, Huadong Medicine, which is Sinclair, the subsidiary of China Grand Pharmaceutical Enterprise, acquiring Vioramed in the laser space. A few EBD acquisitions also to constitute this medically aesthetics, I would say, powerhouse platforms, with Bain Capital acquiring Classes for a multiple of 10.2 times. I mean, cryolipolysis pays off, obviously. And Huadong acquiring Vioramed in the US. And then finally, I would say there is a rise of new types of consolidation segments in nutricosmetics. This was the Unilever deal I was mentioning. Of course, as well as in the clinics. In France, you have some upscale medical aesthetics, holistic clinics, such as Clinique des Champs-Élysées, which has been monetizing a 25% stake to Rise Ventures, ventures. I believe this will be also the case very soon in the United States. We will see a wave of consolidation in this sector, as well as in the SaaS digital sector. And you can see here the multiples evolution across the years. Multiples have been staying very high. If you compare them, these are luxury or medtech, highly differentiated, disruptive, game changer in medtech type of multiples, and EBD as well, with very large transactions, like for instance, Vitruvian's acquisition of the Slovenian champion Fortuna, for 8.2 times multiple in 2021, and the acquisition of Classes I was mentioning before. And Demo Cosmetics as well has increased steadily. Thank you very much for your attention.